Number 4, Aiden Hutchinson. He's coming back from the huge injury, and it's more about what he represents, because I know what he is. He's obviously one of the 5 or 6 best pass rushers in the NFL. But I feel like last year, as great of a story as Washington was, we were robbed of the NFC Championship game that we deserved. The Lions never been to a Super Bowl in their franchise's history, and the injuries to their defensive starters became so comical that they were able to score. They got the 1 seed by beating Minnesota in Week 18. They get the bye. They host Washington in the divisional round. They score 31, and they get blown out, right? Because they give up 45. They were basically drawing dead going into the playoffs as a 1 seed because that no one could overcome that with their defensive games lost. If Hutchinson can just get them to league average, because there's questions with Ragnow's retirement, Ben Johnson's departure, Aaron Glenn's departure. Are the Lions, who have been a great team the last 2.5 years, are they going to backslide with their difficulty of schedule, difficulty of the division? I think it's just as likely that they're dominant again, but it'll be because if 97 can get back to form. Cannot wait to see the Lions defense.
Just quickly on this, I mean, he looks good here. As far as the editor of Hobble Watch, that injury was brutal. And he looks pretty good. Nick was worried that maybe the muscle definition on his legs look a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't
know if that's fair or not, but it's.
I know Nick plays a doctor in the seat. I have no idea. I try not to judge the OTA videos. He looks good crawling there. But no, I don't know, but that's the whole key to the entire operation. He does.
He's fully healthy, guys. What are we talking about here? And your muscle comes back so quickly. From immobilization and that, I mean, like, it literally only takes a few months to get back the muscle itself that took you years to build, because literally, like, when people say muscle memory, they say it completely wrong, but it's because essentially the cells of your muscle are pretty much already, imprinted to have the muscle that it had that you just lost. You regain the muscle so much quicker than it took to gain it in the first place. So trying to point out his muscle definition at this point is just comically, hilariously absurd. But with all that said, yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to see what he looks like right here. And let me see if we can get the injury thing here. Yeah, with all these injuries, I think it was a little misleading about the playoff game, because the offense was not good either. So it wasn't like, oh, they put up all these points, but they just couldn't keep up defensively. That was not the story of the game whatsoever. It just wasn't. And you got to be honest about that. You got to be honest about both sides of the ball and where they both failed. I know people are going to be like, well, they had to do this because they knew they had to score a lot, this, that. And it's like, no, the offense was poorly run for that game specifically, not in general. For that game specifically, it was not a good outing for them offensively. Even with all their defensive issues, if they played better offensively, they could have come away with a win there, or certainly made it a lot more competitive. But you are looking for them to rally behind this and really have this whole redemption and have this revenge tour. I know they're going to feel like they've been robbed by the universe, right? No other powers that be. And I think that's good in a lot of ways. I think when you have all these injuries like that, use that as a rallying cry. I don't think you say it out loud, like I've discussed before in the past, but within the locker room and all of that, it's just like using that as motivation, energy, because so much is having to convince your team, of belief, and this team won't lack that. And, you are fighting up against the idea that you lost both your coordinators, and, the players that have been there, especially for a couple years, who have had them as their coordinators, as their essential direct coaches, like, they're going to feel that loss. Fans can say whatever they want. Oh, it doesn't matter, this, that. Well, they already got a couple other guys in the wings. That's fine. But the players miss their coaches. They miss their coordinators. And those things matter. And so so it's one thing if this team just came up short, and then now you lose your coordinators, and now you're like, oh gosh, like, now where do we go from here? But you do have this feeling of like, no, we were robbed. We are so much better. Last year was our year. We just had bad injuries. It was one after the other. We got this. And you'll be able to use that to kind of really energize and really kind of, bring out the thirst and the intensity that we know the Detroit Lions are at this point iconic for bringing, right? Like that really is their literal rallying cry. And having Dan Campbell tie this all together. But I do think, saying that the Lions could be just as dominant as they've been in years past, I don't think it's about that. I really don't. I've said this again and again and again. This team needs to, evolve, and I want to see them play almost. I want to see them play higher quality close games, actually, because that's when it matters. I don't care about blowouts. I don't care about dominant wins. Because more often than not, when you're playing another great team, it's not going to be a dominant win. And it is going to be close for, the first 2-3, quarters, whatever it may be, or into the very end of the game. And so being able to play high quality ball, pretty much like what we saw in the first game against the Minnesota Vikings. That was a very high quality back and forth game that was one of my favorite games last season. And it's like, those are the games that I care so much more about and how they play, rather than a dominant win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that it just means nothing to me. Blowing out the Dallas Cowboys, it's fun, it's exciting, it's cool to watch, but it's just like, it just doesn't matter to me. I'm so much more impressed with a close back and forth win against the Minnesota Vikings than blowing out the Dallas Cowboys with a whole bunch of trick plays. I just am. And so I want to see more of those moments. Not like I just want to see close game after close game for the Detroit Lions, but just knowing that everyone is actually ready for the moment. Because when the moment called them by their name last time, they weren't ready for it. They just weren't. And I understandably so. It was a young up and coming team. It was the first time that they were in that moment. And so it's like, now it's like, okay, what are we in, I guess to be as giving, we're in the third year of this party right now, right? I'll really start 23, 24, now 25. And it's like, okay, now's the time to take that next step. And the next step isn't we're more dominant. It's no, we consistently win, and we consistently win in different ways. And we can consistently win in close games, ugly games, great games, bad games. That's the name of this. That's the name of the game. And it's done intentionally. Not, thank God the opposing team messed up with a timeout. Oh, thank God they fumbled that snap. It's because of the clear, smart, intentional moves that the Lions had made. That's what it will take. That's what it takes to kind of get over this next level of hump. So I'm excited to watch this team. I believe in this team, but it's just like, my eyes aren't, I'm not on the ground looking to see how dominant they will be, or if they're less dominant than they were last year, or blowing out teams less than they were, than they were last season. I'm not like, see, this team is just not the same. They're taking a step back and this, that. It's just like, that's not the way how I'm going to be looking at it through that lens. I want to see a higher percentage of high quality ball, no matter how that looks. It doesn't mean that you have to hang 45 points and hold the opposing team to like 7. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? Especially Aiden coming back, and how great and how dominant you think they can be this coming season. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.